This is a note to future me. Hi, this is Brett Johnson, your host and the owner of Circle 270 Media Podcast Consultants. Going to do a quick episode today just as a refresher course on how to pitch yourself as a podcast guest. Let's make it a 5-step process, even though there are hundreds of little details to think about when pitching yourself as a podcast guest. But for now, let's focus on these basic elements. Number one, listen to a few episodes of a podcast before pitching. If the podcast isn't a good match for what you do, don't pitch it. And if the podcast doesn't have guests, don't pitch it. Number two, check for a guest submission process before pitching. If there is one, follow it. I found a great example from David Hooper from the Big Podcast. He has a podcast and a blog post on this called Three Rules for Podcast Guests and Those Who Book Them, and his recent round and round with a potential podcast guest and her personal booking person. It's very enlightening. Number three, focus your guest pitch on a specific solution for their audience. What can you do for this audience? Number four, be detailed in your pitch. Mention specific episodes and elements of the podcast. Sincerely talk about what you like about the podcast. And number five, you're going to have to be patient. Give the host enough time to follow up with you. Their timetable is not your timetable. And recognize they may be in a different time zone than you as well, too, when it comes to recording and answering your emails. If you're looking for more tailored help, then be sure to connect with our dedicated team of podcast professionals. We'll help your business create a podcast from planning and launching all the way through editing, the presentation skills, promotion, and monetization if that is part of the game plan. Interested in speaking with one of our professionals? We put together a questionnaire to quickly fill out. This will help us help you prior to our first information meeting, which you can schedule when you complete the questionnaire. The link is in the podcast show notes.